Welcome to Talking Joe with Chief and Ben. I'm Chief, I'm here with my buddy Ben. We're going to be taking you the thrills and spills and the world of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, the comic.
Nice. Hey everyone, I'm Ben. What are we doing, Chief? Reading G.I. Joe comics.
Yeah, reading G.I. Joe comics. Basically, as I mentioned there, Real American Hero, but eventually we want to touch on it all, man. We want to go deep. We want to go IDW. We'll go Devil's Due Press. We might even touch on that Dark Horse stuff that you've got no idea what you're in for that if we get to that. But
you're ambitious. You're definitely ambitious.
Yeah.
After 150 issues, we might be sick of G.I. Joe. Who knows?
Correct. No, not me. I'm still going strong.
It depends. If they end well, I'll be well up for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so basically, first episode here, we're going to break down issues 1 and 2 of the original Marvel run from 1985, and then subsequent episodes we'll be doing 3 or 4 issues per episode, depending on how much there is to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, it's like having homework. I like it.
Yeah, but the good kind.
Yeah, I'm very aware that I'm reading something from 1985. That's mental.
It's got that nostalgia vibe, I guess.
How old were you in 1985? I was 4.
10.
What, double figures?
Double fee. But I didn't read that first issue when I was 10. That came a lot later because
that's a shame because you would have been right set for it then at 10.
Yeah, I mean it's the kind of thing, you know, I wished I could go back in time and watch Empire Strikes Back again without knowing that twist.
Yeah, I have no memory of that.
I felt like when I watched it the first time, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, I couldn't even say what order I watched those in.
No.
Yeah, I know. You must have been. Yeah, so you didn't go and see that. Did you see any of those films at the cinema?
I think I only saw
Jedi.
Yes.
83.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd have been 8. That makes sense. Okay.
But obviously since watched them hundreds of times, so.
Yeah. I couldn't really pin down the first time I read a G.I. Joe comic. I was maybe 1990.
Yeah, so I think
it would have been one of yours.
Yeah, I got obviously in the UK, no G.I. Joe, it was called Action Force.
Straight off the bat.
Yeah.
I don't really like the name Action Force. I prefer G.I. Joe. How do you feel?
Yeah, I don't know where that actually came from because there was an old comic called Battle, and I think that transformed into Battle Action, and it was on that kind of real crappy newspaper print. We're talking 70s here, early 80s, and because it was called Battle Action, and there were characters from G.I. Joe in stories. I don't know if that's where the Action Force came from, why they felt the need to differentiate from G.I. Joe. So even though it's effectively it is the same characters, same universe, just different branding.
Are we going to be reading that, or what's the deal?
Yeah, man, I'd like to read those Action Force stuff. Whether or not we do those at the end of this Marvel 155 issue run, or whether we release those as bonus content, or we have a break once a month and read a couple of those. Yeah, fine. I mean,
what I meant was, isn't the order of the G.I. Joe comic, isn't there like special missions which are basically some of the UK Action Force put into like annuals, or is that
no, you're right. Yeah, so there was 28 issues of special missions published by Marvel US Publishing, as well as 4 yearbooks.
Okay, but
and then when the action, and they're either standalone stories or at a couple of points during those special missions they actually tie in to the main storyline. So there'll come a point, I think it's around sort of 60, 55, something like that, of the main series, where we're going to need to dig into issue whatever of special missions as well at the same time.
So if you were reading these in America as they were coming out, would you have any idea about those?
Yeah, I guess so, because I think in the standard Real American Hero comic, you've probably got adverts for other Marvel comics that are out, including special missions, and in the letters page in the back, there's probably a bit saying, you know,
so how do we
catch up with our guys in issues of whatever special missions? And again, this is another thing where we're reading from different. It's the same material, but I'm reading the original monthly floppy editions that I've had over the years. You're reading the collected editions republished by IDW.
Yeah, the first one I've got is published by IDW. the second 2 volumes I've got are by Marvel, but I think they literally just gave up Marvel after doing about 5. So, I don't know what I'm going to do for all of those special missions ones. But I guess you know when to switch.
Yeah, I know when to switch, but they might have released them in collected trades as well.
Oh, okay.
We'll check that out. If not, then Comixology is probably your friend.
Yeah. Just go dig.
But yeah, I'll keep us ahead. I'll keep us on board with the reading order, etc. I mean, touching back on one of your points you just briefly mentioned there, if you were reading Action Force, that was kind of a weekly Marvel UK series, ran for 50 issues, and was a real amalgamation of stuff. So it was some bits of Real American Hero, some bits of special missions. There was some original UK content, etc. So it was a real hodgepodge, and it was weekly, because a lot of the British
But it couldn't have been weekly for very long.
No, 50 issues of a year. So 87, then died out in end of 88. So
do you think they were ambitious going weekly?
I mean, that was always, the staple of UK comics. Beano, Dandy, and all that kind of stuff was always weekly.
I guess the thing
2000 AD. I mean, it's tagged as the Galaxy's greatest comic. It's my favourite comic of all time, and I'm on a G.I. Joe podcast, so I'm going to say G.I. Joe as well. They're kind of tied, G.I. Joe and 2000 AD. 2000 AD has been published weekly since 1977, still going weekly. So I mean,
I like that. I think that's great, because I think I would like reading these going back. I would struggle to wait a whole month.
Yeah,
they're not the longest things in the world, are they? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, the comic industry is in kind of a funny period because there's so many books out there, and it's no longer just Marvel and DC as the big two. They're still the big two, but you've got Image, you've got IDW, you've got Dark Horse, you've got some smaller publishing houses. Aftershock are publishing out good stuff with good creative teams, and I've missed out loads there probably, but a lot
of content.
It's you go into, like, I go into a Forbidden Planet in Leicester Square, once a month or whatever, just to have a look, and the comic section is massive, and the new comic section is, they don't really do back issues, so it's all new issues and new comics, and the amount of stuff that's coming out, because don't forget that even though they're monthly books, okay, sure, that one series is monthly, but the release cycle is...
There's one every week.
Yeah, exactly. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 of the month, so there's probably, close to 80 new comics coming out every week of the month.
Yeah, like if you're into the new Star Wars canon, there's something for you to buy every single week.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's how they do it.
And there's massive oversaturation probably, which is why sales of most books have dropped off. But
yeah, it depends how you look at it. You could either say more is better, or you could say that it's lowered the standard.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about that rubbish. We're here to talk about G.I. Joe.
Let's do it.
So,
Issue 1.
I'm coming to this. I've read this quite a few times. You've probably read it quite a few times. I came to issue 1 a bit later because I actually didn't start collecting G.I. Joe comics, and it's not Action Force G.I. Joe comics till probably 1990, 91.
Right,
maybe even 92, I think. Someone... Remember Paul Hatcher?
Scratcher.
Scratcher, yeah. He owed me some money, didn't have the cash, said, look, here you go, boom, have some comics instead. And there was some Captain America, some Thor, some other stuff. And
you accepted that trade.
There was a G.I. Joe in there. Boom. I'm like, what is this? I remember this. This is Action Force, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is pre you having any toys?
I think, because when the comic was coming out in 87...
right.
I was getting the toys, and I'm guessing you probably were. No, I don't know when you were getting them, but yeah, the toys,
late 80s.
Yeah, the toys. I had a lot of G.I. Joe. You had a lot of Action Force. But then after as the toys kind of do in waves or seasons, then they renamed it. They actually then rebranded from Action Force to G.I. Joe. So I knew what it was. I just wasn't perhaps as aware that there was a Marvel comic coming out. But by that time, I don't know where it was, what was being published, maybe late 90s of issue numbers wise. So then I decided to buy a load of back issues and just ended up collecting the whole run in back issues.
Yeah.
I know you've only read not the whole run before, maybe, or even if you have only once, maybe.
I don't think I could. I couldn't say that I've read the entire run. I could definitely say I think I've read the best bits of it.
Yeah.
From the ones that me and my bro borrowed off of you.
Yeah.
So it's crazy going back to these old ones. It's really interesting for me. I mean, it's really the toys informed me so much about the lore and the mythology just because of the profile things that were written on the back.
Oh, yeah, the file, almost on the back of the file card things on the back of the figures.
Heavily detailed.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they were written by Larry Hama, who is obviously the series writer who wrote 153 of the 155 issues. Could be wrong, but
so when it came to the comics, I certainly wasn't like, what's this? I was well in two-footed to the toys, so it was just really exciting. But it felt like they were difficult to get hold of. They were American. I didn't know about
the
comic
comics.
shops.
You mean right? Okay, yeah.
So, I think I was probably reading them in a crazy order. I
guess that was back in the day as well when you're looking at going to a dedicated comic shop. It was before. Now you can go into pretty much any bookshop and they got trade graphic novels, haven't they?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's become a lot more trendy now, isn't it? So.
Right. So should we?
Let's crack on. So. Right, issue 1 was June. It wasn't 1985 when it started. 1982. So got that wrong completely. 82. Yeah.
Okay, I was 1. I certainly wasn't reading comics.
No. Issue 1, written by Larry Hama, penciled by Herb Trimpe, who was more known as the creator of Wolverine.
Right.
First appeared in issue of Incredible Hulk 181. Did quite a few of these G.I. Joe early issues and some special missions, but more known for his superhero stuff. But was a good fit as an artist here. Inker was Bob McLeod, letterer Jim Novak, colorist Glynis Wine. So issue 1.
Do you think they knew what they were getting into? How does it work? Do you think they were like, okay, we're going to commission you guys to do 12 issues, or do you think they were just like, okay, off you go, see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Hasbro, had this toy line. It's a toy franchise first, and then we're like, what can we do? How can we squeeze some more cash out of this? Comics were, I guess pretty big in the early 80s. Went to Marvel, and loads of people apparently turned it down. Writers, I don't want any toy business, because apparently a comic based on a toy line lasts somewhere between 10 and 20 issues max, and then sales have dropped off so bad it just gets cancelled. No one wants to be on a cancelled book or anything like that, so everyone turned it down. Larry Hama I think he was just desperate for a job. He's like, I'll do it, put my name down, whatever. And
he treated it very seriously though.
I mean, he's from the military, and he kind of like, right, we got these stupid looking characters. Well, they weren't stupid looking characters at the point in time, because they're all pretty much in green army fatigues. Later on you get the outlandish outfits and they'll become individual looking characters,
which is where I'm at. I love all that, you see.
Brilliant. Yeah,
I struggle in this opener with the they all look the same.
Yeah, who's who?
Yeah, it is difficult, and also they haven't really taken on their sort of archetypes yet.
No, but I mean, Hama, he was the one who said, look, I'm going to give background to all these characters, because they were just characters. It's just a guy called Grunt or Rock and Roll, and he writes those file cards on the back of the action figure packets.
Yeah,
and it fleshes them out, and he's actually building that world. And Hasbro said,
I bet he had total free reign as well.
Do what you want.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think of the cover for the opener?
Cover for the opener. It looks like the Mobat, which is the G.I. Joe tank, mobile something battle armored tank, something like that. Anyway, and there's all the Joes rushing towards you, firing at the reader. I like it. I think as a first issue, it's quite grabbing, don't you think, or not?
Yeah, no, I like the. I'm a big fan of the orange kind of hue in the background.
Yeah,
and you got Scarlet there.
I mean, you've definitely got a few. You've definitely got a couple of guys that stand out. You got Flash Stalker on the left, who's got some kind of laser gun with a blue chest plate. You got Stalker on the front. And you got Scarlet. The other three clowns, could be anyone.
I was going to say, who's the dude with the bazooka on the right?
I reckon that looks like Clutch, but he is like the driver. So, the vehicle driver. But
so
the
good.
fact that he's got a goatee, tank driver's Steeler, and then the one on the left, I don't know, I'm guessing Duke.
I did like it when you'd buy a toy and it came with a pilot or a driver that you could only get through the toy.
Quality.
Big fan.
Yeah, so I like the tagline on the front, the ultimate weapon of democracy.
Yeah, they're gone political.
They're going big. Harmer, he puts a lot of politics and stuff, lightweight politics in the comics, and he's starting on the front page of issue 1.
I guess my overall thoughts with this one is when I'm reading it, it's not what I remember reading, so it feels really different.
Yeah, because it's more, I guess it's less character driven, is it? And it's just more of a kind of, here's the bad guys, here's the good guys. It's kind of a secret. It's almost James Bondy in a way, kind of.
Yeah, what I don't like in these early ones is the way that you always open and you've got those two general guys.
General Austin and General Flagg. My favourite bit of that is Flagg's always wearing bloody sunglasses in the Pentagon. Indoors wearing shades. Love it. That's classic kind of super spy, covert ops.
You get the kind of you get that monster of the week. Okay, we best call G.I. Joe kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't remember that at all.
No.
So they have to bring him in, and they're like, okay, who's our best guys for this particular
mission?
Threat? In this one, it's Baroness.
Yeah, Baroness
which is awesome.
Baroness is kidnapped some top nuclear scientist or whatever, and who's built some super weapon by mistake. Built it by mistake. They didn't give me all the plans. She's going to spill the beans or something like that, and Baroness is like, we're going to capture her and get all this info out of her brain. And like you say, hot damn, who are we going to call? I know, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, and they put together. I guess they basically put together all of the big hitters from the first wave of toys that I remember.
Yes.
Like, Stalker and Hawk and, Although, no, Hawk was never a toy, was he?
Yeah, and I stand corrected there. Of course, Duke's not even in the team yet, is it? It's Hawk. Duke comes later.
Yeah.
So
actually,
and also on this, there's a bit in there. I was saying the guy with the bazooka, another mistake probably, guy on the front in the bazooka because he had a goatee. I said clutch, but also Zap has got a goatee, and Zap's another one of those original 13 that one of them that kind of gets phased out quite quickly.
Yeah,
like you say, the big hitters: Scarlet, Hawk, Snake Eyes.
And then obviously Cobra Commander and Baroness on the other side. Yeah,
they hang around a lot. Rock and Roll has a fair role. Breaker, but and Grunt has a little storyline. But Short Fuse, Grand Slam, Zap, to a certain extent, Steeler. They don't really get. And
much. They go straight into establishing Cobra, and you've got Cobra Troopers everywhere. You've got Cobra. It's not actually Cobra Island, is it? But it.
No, there's a big base, and it's got concertina wire and tank traps and booby traps and all this thing, and it's garrisoned of something like 6,000 troops or something ridiculous. So it's a big enemy base, and you're thinking, well, if they know it's there, why haven't they done anything about it before?
Yeah, we'll just send in 10 Joes.
Yeah, we'll send in 10 Joes. They can do it, but. I guess that establishes G.I. Joe as America's the ultimate weapon of democracy. Yeah, let's get
never tell them the odds.
Exactly, but
there's some good Cobra action in here, and I'm just a big fan of troops on the ground. So I quite like these kind of. There's loads of Cobra Troopers, load of land-based action.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like Cobra's a viable threat from this first issue? Are you like, holy shit, these boys mean business, Joes are in trouble? Do you get that feeling or not?
Cobra Commander kind of walks the line of... It's difficult to take everything I know about him and treat this as if this was the first time I've ever reading about this guy. If it was, I think he's not too clownish in this, is he?
No,
really?
Because later on he does... Even though he's always in control, possibly not always in control, but he was always the top dog, the main villain. He is treated a little bit clownish and humorous at times later on, but here it's like, shit, our chances, if this guy's in charge, we're in real trouble. Because he's a criminal mastermind. He's a terrorist of the highest order.
Yeah,
he's got a James Bond villain base with his hostage tied up and his troops who, you think he's going to slaughter his own troops if they don't, fulfill their mission, etc. He's quite villainous.
Yeah, and Baroness is portrayed as
she's a badass.
Badass, big time.
Proper badass.
So you've got her standing by him. So yeah, I guess so. And also all of the Cobra troops, they're not just cannon fodder. I mean, yeah. So I think they're a threat.
Yeah.
I
mean, what from a first issue, I guess it does what it needs to do. It's not going to win any awards. It's nothing special, but I don't mind it at all. It does
fine.
what it needs to do. And art wise, I think Trimpe's probably a good choice. It's not outlandishly superhero based art. It's kind of realistic in tone. Action scenes are good. Close-ups of all the faces of all the characters are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to know more than this than me because you're like fully into comics. But I do find the art somewhat inconsistent in terms of like one panel you're getting like high detail, and then the panel below it you've got like essentially stick figures. Do you know what I mean?
No, don't know what you mean.
Well, what I mean is some of the panels I just think are absolutely stunning to look at, and others I'm not that impressed with in terms of the art levels.
Okay, and I guess you've got those IDW collections, which are, I guess have been retouched and higher production, so that you'd think that wouldn't be the case, but
no.
Maybe maybe it's highlighting,
I'm actually just talking about the actual art, as in the actual imagery of what I'm, looking at in terms of like the Baroness feels quite inconsistent, and I imagine the pace that they're doing these things in is insane, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think back in the day as well, like now, some of the top artists, if they're on a book, they're either not doing, if they're on it for a year, they're not doing 12 issues a year, they're probably doing 8 issues a year, and there's fill-in artists, or the book only ships 8 times a year, or they just do an arc. So, a new book will launch, new Justice League book or whatever, and it'll advertise the creative team, and that artist will just do the first 3 issues storyline, and then another artist will come in and do the second, will do issues 4 to 6, then that first artist will come back and do 7 to 9. So it's almost like a rotating art teams because it's just not, they're just not as quick. Back in the day, in the 80s and 70s or whatever, or even early 90s, you might get some artists, John Romita Jr., he might be actually fully penciling 2 books a month for a whole on schedule for a whole year, as well as doing covers and other stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think what I'm talking about is actually probably just a preference thing, whereas I like all of the kind of close-ups with all the hyper detail, and I just my taste, I don't necessarily like the things from far away where there's just not much going on in the frame. But yeah,
what about the Joes themselves? So we said earlier, not many of them really are establishing much character. The only ones are kind of, from a Joe point of view, Snake Eyes is a guy who doesn't talk, but he doesn't actually get much screen time, doesn't get much page time. So you don't really know he's that much of a badass. Scarlet is a bit more badass. And Stalker, they seem to have pegged him as a bit of a Joker early on. Which is a bit out of character from what we know later on.
Yeah, it's even out of character from this issue to the next.
Yeah.
To be fair, in issue 2, he's basically what I remember him being.
Yeah. I think maybe they're just establishing, okay, what worked, what didn't work.
I think that's going to happen. They're literally making this up as they go along, aren't they?
So
there's no characteristics really that I think makes them individuals yet.
No.
Scarlet, because she's the only girl and she has an individual costume, and Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
Everyone else, really, their dialogue could be interchangeable, I think, really.
Yeah. I mean, did you also... I don't know if your collection includes it, but in the back of issue 1, there's a little short bonus story called Hot Potato.
No, have not got Hot Potato. I worry because it's called that.
No, it's good. It's good.
Is it?
Track it down.
Okay.
Yeah, track it down. Basically, it's like a 14 or 15 page story. Joe's trapped out in the desert.
That sounds good.
Rock and roll. Scarlet, Snake Eyes have got to retrieve some tape from some dude who's buddied up with Cobra head honchos. Some shake or something, and they got to get the tape, and then meanwhile Stalker and a couple of other guys are back in the town waiting for the other team to retrieve the tape and bring it back to them, and then it immediately cuts bang, which I quite like. Cuts bang, all exposition, first page, second page, boom, you see Scarlet, Rock and Roll, and Snake Eyes, load of dead bodies around them. Scarlet's injured. She's like, here, Rock and Roll, take this tape and get it back to the town. And he's like, I'm not leaving you. And she's like, pulls a gun on him and seriously says, you're leaving and I'm shooting your ass.
Right.
And then, and then it's just basically, does Rock and Roll get the tape back to the camp? And then they all come back and rescue Scarlet. But this is another one where it really, really pegs Scarlet as a proper kick-ass, heroine. She's, she means business. And
yeah, I get that from second issue as well.
Oh, second issue, yeah. So, I mean, we'll come on to that. But yeah.
Also, is that something that
hot potatoes worth tracking down?
But I'm not going to have this hot potato every bloody week, am I?
Or? No. I think that's just like a one-off.
It's just a one-off.
Yeah, it's just because the first issue was like most first issues they'll launch as like 48-page bonus, extra page content. So they just tacked on that extra one. It's drawn by Don Perlin, by the way. That one, just for anyone out there who wants to know, who did a lot of Defenders and Ghost Rider stuff.
Well, when I finished this issue, I could see the cover of issue 2, and I was like, right, this is right up my alley.
Yep. Also, just a quick one, there's some cracking pin-ups in the back of issue 1, which I don't know if you've got either.
Got none of that.
Scarlet, Breaker, Flash, and a nice one of Stalker actually on a jetpack and a little file card. So again, that's the file cards that maybe Larry Harmer was writing for the toys.
Is that something that I'm going to be missing out on every week?
No.
Here
we go. Actually, advert also for the MOBAT, which I mentioned earlier, was on the front cover, and it stands for Multi-Ordnance Battle Tank.
Nice.
Don't know what that multi-ordnance is, but there you go. So what overall, how many Yo-Jo Colas you giving issue 1 out of 10?
Oh, I'll go 6 just because it's issue 1.
Yeah, I think 6 is fair. I'll go 6 as well.
6 Yo-Jo Colas.
6 Yo-Jo Colas, for those who don't know, will crop up later in the run. If you don't know what G.I. Joe is, you're probably not listening to this podcast unless someone has recommended it to you, which I hope they will, because it's going to be great.
Nice. Moving on to issue 2.
Yeah, let's get issue 2. Cover. What are you saying about the cover? 4 Joes on the cover in snow gear, in the snow.
At night, so it's awesome.
Some sort of base burning in the background.
It looks great.
Tagline on the front: an American research station annihilated, a Russian base destroyed. The G.I. Joe team must probe the panic at the North Pole.
Must probe is weird.
Yeah, and why they must probe the panic? I don't know. Odd choice.
Look, this is. I was pumped for this one.
Yeah,
and I was like, this is
July 1982, issue 2.
Yeah, it's selling something that isn't in the issue. Because I started off and I was like, this is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And then for me, I love all the setup where they go in, it starts off with those 2 generals again, and then you find out what they're doing. So Stalker, they're like, oh, we need to get G.I. Joe. Where are they? They're on leave. But then, Stalker's out somewhere hunting a massive stag.
Oh, that first bit is amazing. Basically, again, like you say, you've got your generals. Flag's got his sunnies on in the Pentagon. And, that first bit, yeah. So it's basically what you were mentioning maybe in the first issue. We need to assemble a crack team, whereas here they actually show you like a 1-page breakdown of what those 4 team members are doing on their shore leave, if you will.
Yeah.
And, that Stalker one's amazing. He's got this deer in his telescopic sight, and you think he's about to bag this deer. Helicopter flies in, scares the deer off. Turns out Stalker just had a camera. Oh, amateur photographer. Love it.
That's so good. It's great. Also, there's a bit in it where the people in the chopper are like, General Flag has cancelled your leave. And he's like, yeah, I'm about to cancel your face.
Oh, that's amazing. Best line in G.I. Joe 2 issues so far, easy. I'm about to cancel your face. Yeah, I love it.
So I was thinking, this is all good, and then it goes over to Scarlet, and she's in some judo competition or something.
It's a martial arts tournament freestyle.
Yeah, And then she goes badass on someone. And
she leaves the fight. She's in the middle of a fight, leaves the fight mid-fight because some no-name uniformed dude comes up and says, "Are you Scarlett Shana O'Hara?" So there we actually get to hear a real name there. And she says, "Yeah," and he's like, "General Flagg wants you. Come with me." No questions asked. She's like, "All right, cool." In the middle of a fight, and the girl she's fighting doesn't want any of it. Tries to blindside Scarlett. And Scarlett's like, "Excuse me a second, there, dude in the army fatigues." Turns around, flying kick, actually kicks her face off.
Yeah.
There's a panel where she is flying.
There's no face.
There's no face. Her foot is in her face, and it's just one big kind of exploding star of colour of white, and it's thwack is the sound it makes, and basically she has just killed that girl.
And then it cuts over to where Snake Eyes is, and he's in some Bacta tank or something.
Isolation, a la Empire on Hoth.
And the guy's like, "My God, that face!"
Yeah.
But I guess we're just,
Well, now that's
horrifically.
There you go.
Scarred.
That sets the scene. We get that reason for his disfigurement in issue, I think it's 26 or 27, which is the origin of Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
And then we don't actually see the face until about issue 92.
Wow.
They
hold that close to the chest.
They hold that close to the chest, and he played the long game, Harmer, which is, commendable. I like it when someone puts those plot points in, those seeds, and doesn't do the quick reveal. He plays it long game.
Well, yeah, you could, shoot his bolt in like 12 issues and be like, reveal. There he is.
Yeah.
But, everything's going well. And I was like, okay, this is cool. They're going on some mission. They're in the plane.
Yeah.
Loving all of that.
And Stalker is actually, we know him from his kind of like black and green camo outfit with a red beret, potentially. But do you remember they released a figure, and it was about wave 6 or 7 of figures, so it's quite a way down the line. They released him in kind of an Arctic thing with a beanie on and a canoe, and I'm like, I do not remember seeing this ever in the comics, and bloody hell, is this the one from issue 2?
Basically, yeah. But I mean, you didn't have to have seen it in the comics for them to. It's just different, different weather gear.
Yeah,
that was a great line of toys, by the way. That was when they released a load of the OG stuff.
And
very cool.
That a lot of they branched out in a lot of Vipers, didn't they? Alley Viper and Frag Viper and all those dudes.
Well, yeah, that actually came a little bit after that.
Was it? Right.
But I remember you not being a fan of all of that. They did go on with the old Vipers.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I'm compiling a list because, as you know, I get quite a lot of comic commissions done by artists, and one of them I'm tempted to do is get every single Viper done.
Yeah, Heat, Toxic.
Yeah, Saw. He is the Saw Viper.
Yeah, no. Oh, but did he have the tag Viper?
Yeah, Saw Viper.
Yeah, they were basically like heavy gunners, weren't they?
SAW, he will play a big part.
Yeah.
In the what is it, the 120s probably.
Yeah, for sure.
No spoilers.
So, so it's all going well.
Yes.
And then, it gets a little bit it's Russian. It's a Russian facility, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're going there, they get there, and they see some dude walking in. And I'm just like, okay,
some stacked Eskimo.
He's an Eskimo, yeah. So no sign of Cobra.
No.
So he goes in there, and then he walks out. He leaves the bloody door open.
Yeah.
They think that is very weird.
Yeah. And what I kind of like, is Harmer is, immediately throwing in some military stuff. So they're like, the Joes have spotted this Eskimo, whatever. And they're like, what do you need to hunt with a 30 cal belt-fed machine gun? So he's not just going to say, oh, look, he's got a gun. He's actually starting to bring in lots of specific terminology. And he does that.
Military background, isn't it?
And once you get, past these first sort of 10, 15 issues, he's pretty heavy on that every issue. I like the way he writes. I like the way he writes some of these scenes because he's using exposition because he's obviously trying to explain what's happening. But rather than just have clunky exposition captions, he's using the Joes kind of
their dialogue
to debate what's happening down there with this dude in this hut, and it works really effectively because in one kind of page he's managed to distill lots of stuff down, and then you've suddenly got intrigue. You suddenly in that one page you're like, right, we're here to do this guy's done something here,
Yeah, I felt like it worked well from their point of view, not so much coming from the Eskimo guy. I thought there was long humps of dialogue where he was basically just telling them his plan.
Yeah. I mean,
And
he was,
and then also he doesn't kill him. He's they're basically like, why? They actually say, why aren't you gonna just kill us?
Yeah.
And he's like, you're already dead. I'm just gonna leave you
he's
here.
playing the role of the classic overconfident Bond villain, isn't he?
Yeah, I did not like him.
No,
I did not like the Eskimo.
But I'm a big fan of Kwinn, and he's gonna recur a little bit later on as well. So.
Oh Jesus! What are you saying? He's an actual.
Yeah, you can't remember.
I
don't know if you've. I know you've read number 1 a lot and probably number 2, but maybe your exposure to these early ones has faded from your memory. But he returns.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm sure it's. I just didn't like. I thought what I was going to be getting was the Joes, like humping through the snowy kind of wastelands, getting to this, and then there was going to be like a firefight, and
I mean, this dude,
I don't know, they'd have to get back. It just went in a direction that I was like, whoa, okay.
I mean, this is
nothing actually really happened.
No, I mean, I don't know. This Kwinn dude, Breaker is on the mission, and he's got some backpack on which is printing out some kind of. He's got a teleprinter. Your teleprinter's clacking away. General Flagg must have dug up a dossier on our Eskimo. Then you find out that he's a freelance special ops enforcer. He's worked for CIA, Mossad, KGB, MI6 and other security agencies. He's an expert tracker, hunter, woodsman, speaks English, Russian, French, Finnish, German, 3 Inuit dialects, expert with a rifle, pistol, longbow, harpoon and plastic explosives. Expert with a harpoon?
He's a woodsman.
What, is he a whaler or something? Well, probably, actually, because he's an Eskimo, yeah.
It's a heck of a CV.
Yeah.
Heck of a CV.
Subject never lies. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of it, and he's kind of leading them on a merry chase. It's kind of a cat and mouse scenario, which I thought played out really well. Then at the end, he's got some rendezvous to hand the tape over. I don't know if it's Cobra the secret files. I don't think he's handing it over to Cobra, is he? It's just some random.
There's no Cobra in this one.
Some random troops.
That bit's quite. It's fine when he's basically like, you've got. What does he say?
He drops them, doesn't he? He drops them. The bad guys. He says, "Oh, I've left your weapons there. They're only a mile away." And the GI Joes are 4 miles away. But
he keeps on going on about taking their pins out of their weapons all the time.
Yeah. And he's like, but they are trackers and you are not. And then I love those final 3 panels because you see the 4 Joes in the distance.
Punches in.
And then the next one's a mid shot. And the last one is basically a close-up of Snake Eyes with some sort of weasel skulls with firing pins around his neck. So even if they do find their guns, they're absolutely screwed.
I wasn't into that weasel, the necklace thing. What was that?
No.
What was that? He was like, "Don't worry, I'm all right. I've got this on."
Yeah, there's something praise to the weasel god or something. But yeah.
No, not for me. This one, because I wanted it to be something different. I wanted it to be a bit more grounded. I think.
Right.
But anything in the snow gets me. So it was cool.
Yeah.
And all the setup was brilliant. I just didn't like the execution.
Right.
After they got into the into that shack.
Yeah.
And there was this Eskimo wandering around.
Right.
But you can't have Cobra in every one.
No. I mean, what are you giving it then? What are you saying?
Oh, 5.
5?
5. Although I will say that the cover's going to actually take a lot to beat for me. It's one of my favourite.
Yeah, I don't know. The cover didn't. I thought the cover on 1 was better than the cover on 2.
I think it's basically when I was younger and I was playing with the toys, I'd always go snow. Like, I'd get white towels out. I was just obsessed with, army in the snow.
Yeah.
So that cover just gets me.
Yeah. I
think it's exciting.
I mean, yeah, I'll probably go 6.5, I think, maybe. Or if we don't do halves, I'll probably have to go 7. I liked it. I'll go 7. Stick my neck out.
You can't have a half of
7.
That
7 Yojos.
Joe cola.
7 Yojos. Yeah, I know we're not doing 3 till next episode, but I'm just looking at the cover to 3, and I don't know if it's a big giant robot shooting people, so I'm immediately like, oh my god, this is going to be junk because this is not what I want GI Joe to be. And I haven't read this for a while. I try and do a complete reread of 1 to 155 plus the special missions once every 2 years. I try and do a complete read through.
Right.
but has it been 2 years? It might have even been 2.5 years. So I'm playing catch up. And 3, I remember actually really liking the one. It's called The Trojan Gambit, and I remember really liking it. But we will have to find out next episode what we think of that one.
5 is low for issue 2, I guess, but I still had fun. Still had great fun reading it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome. You can't, just have to. Well, I was going to say hope it gets better, but no, they're fine.
Yeah, a lot of these early ones are kind of one and dones.
I need an arc.
Yeah, exactly. I know you love an arc.
I do.
Once we get to that start of what I call the peak period of the early 20s, when shit is going to go down big style, that is when Storm Shadow's showing up and Destro's already shown up, but you get all these characters just start the backstories and the interlinking and the absolutely improbable connections between these characters. Which I'm willing.
You get the big icons.
And it becomes more like a soap opera. That just happens to be military-based soap opera rather than these heavily kind of military-focused storylines. That's when it really the juice. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait.
Yeah, they're just shoving stuff down the pipe at the moment, and they're just figuring it out, and you can see that as you're reading them. But okay, that's good. What are we going to do? We're going to do 2. Are we going to do 2 a week, or how do you feel? Do you think 2's good?
I'd like to do more, if possible, just because I want to get through the material as quick as possible, because I want to read it as quick as possible.
You want to get through these early ones?
No, I want to get through them all.
You're giving them 7s.
Yeah, I'm conscious of the fact that there's about 1 million G.I. Joe comics out there, and we want to get through them all, and we don't want to take 20 years to do it. So I'm happy. If we.
I think 3. All right, let's do 3.
All right, 3.
It would be fun to carry on now and talk about 3. I think 3's good.
We'll do 3, and if we get the opportunity, if we get enough listener response and they want more, then we can always potentially chuck in a bonus content episode during the week and cover like some Action Force or yearbooks or add-on comics or things like that. So we'll stick to 3 a week for the time being, with the potential of some more content.
Yeah, I'm interested in our listenership. G.I. Joe, what do you reckon our reach is going to be?
Well, that's a good one, because I've got a few friends who are big G.I. Joe fans, and I know they will be listening. If they're not, I am going to unfriend them everywhere. I was speaking to another friend that I do a lot of board gaming with, and
You got a lot of friends.
Well, I've mentioned 3, I think, but we were talking about the other day about designing a G.I. Joe board game.
Do it.
And really, really want to do that. And he kind of was worried about G.I. Joe as a theme, because he's not a G.I. Joe fan. He's a big board gaming fan, and the type of game we were going to make, he is very into. But he was concerned that G.I. Joe is completely for kids. He said, is it going to help us sell a board game just by slapping a G.I. Joe tag on it? And
it's definitely niche.
It's definitely niche, because it's Hasbro, but it's definitely not got that as much retro appeal as like Transformers now.
Yeah, but Transformers is an IP that continues to.
I guess it is. There were a couple of
massive.
G.I. Joe movies, and I don't think they were aimed at kids necessarily. But I don't know. No. I don't know when they made those movies. Who were they thinking? With these, who were they thinking are going to watch these G.I. Joe movies when they made them?
People like us, and hopefully a bunch of kids from a new generation.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I don't think that happened.
No, the new generation. no, it didn't. But then another friend turned up when we were doing some board gaming the other day, and I said,
Friend number 4.
If I count you 5, and Mrs. No, not Mrs. She's not my friend. I'm joking. Not really. Anyway, he turned up, and I kind of said to him, what's your view of G.I. Joe? Do you think it's kiddie? And he said, definitely not. He said, I would have done. He said, until you lent me the IDW comics. We'll get to them eventually. IDW did a series called Cobra, and it was kind of like, Donnie Brasco. It was an undercover It
Nice.
was Chuckles went undercover as Cobra, and he got so deep undercover he
didn't know which way was up or down.
He did not know which way was that. He didn't know to shit or wind his watch, to steal a phrase from
It's
Stone
like
Cold
that.
Steve Austin. Yeah,
It's
so
like
and that
when Crockett goes undercover in Miami Vice.
yeah, I tried watching that the other day.
Takes
just
a
couldn't
pop
get
at
on it.
Tubbs.
Yeah, but yeah, so that and that he's like that is proper. That's not aimed at kids at all. But obviously,
But
that's
dude,
a very
nor
niche.
is your
Those
board
IDW
game.
comics were a bit niche.
Your board game's not going to be aimed at kids. There's no way. It's way too technical.
Yeah,
I don't know,
correct.
what do you call a kid?
Well, no,
What
it's
is a
probably
kid?
going to be ages 12 and up or something like that. I don't know, but because
Yeah.
I play a lot of Star Wars Imperial Assault, which is a one-on-one skirmish game with minifigures, etc., dice rolling, moving around, modular boards, etc., and we're kind of thinking that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think it would necessarily. We're not going for the kid market, most certainly. But is there enough of a fan base out there that would want a G.I. Joe board game?
That's what I've always been.
I think yes. I think G.I. Joe
interested
fans will enjoy it, but I also think that just wargaming skirmish style fans aren't going to be turned off. Oh, look, it's got a kiddie G.I. Joe theme. I'm not interested. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there would definitely be interest in it. If it's branded correctly, etc. But I mean that's a long way down. That's a long way down the line.
Well, every few episodes, I'll check back in with your board game.
Yes, do, and I'll let you know if the progress is strong or weak.
See when it gets off the ground.
Yeah. I think
All right,
probably
buddy.
from the next episode on, we will hopefully have a few links that people can.
I thought you were going to say.
Reach us at.
I thought you were going to say. Hopefully, we'll have a few listeners.
Yeah, hopefully that as well. Hopefully we'll be able to tell people where they can. Actually, you might need to edit and tag on at the end where people can find us and download and subscribe, etc. And then hopefully from next week we might have some Twitter handles, some contact email addresses, etc. Maybe even set up an Instagram, post pictures of cover.
Ideally, I think the idea would be if I was listening to something like this, you've got to be reading along with us.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
That's the idea, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, no, that sounds good. So maybe what we can do is we can let readers know an episode in advance what we will be reading. So, next episode we will be reading issues 3, 4 and 5. So if you want to go ahead and dig those out, have a read so that when we're chatting about it, you know what we're talking about. Otherwise, it's just two guys talking a load of bollocks. And if you haven't read the comics or the issues, you won't know what's going on.
You'll never get that time back.
And then you'll never get that time back, and you are definitely not listening again, and you're not telling your friends. So
can you do the maths on? So if we do 3 issues a week, just from the Marvel run, how long is that going to take?
Well, it's going to be about a year, I guess, to go through those 155 issues. But don't forget, we've got the 28 special missions as well, plus the 4 yearbooks. So
holy smoke!
I don't know. I reckon we can squeeze it into a year. Because when we
that would be quite neat. So we should definitely aim to have it done for this Christmas
2019. And don't forget, there's possibilities when if your missus goes out and my missus goes out, we can record a bonus episode on a Saturday or something like that and squeeze some more in. Forgot about the kids there, actually. I don't know, but and also no, I forgot what I was going to say.
Brain
freeze. Yeah. I'm up in the loft. I'm up recording the loft, and it's absolutely Baltic up here. I'm freezing my knackers off.
Does that mean you've got a good loft or a bad loft? It's meant to be.
It means when I read.
No, it's good. That's good because that means all the heat is in your house.
Well, I think it's also bad because it means when I insulated the rafters several months ago, I didn't do a good job. But I don't.
What do you insulate them with?
This stuff called superfoil. It's like a massive blanket of silvery foil that you staple to the rafters.
Okay.
I'll take some pictures.
God, it must look like NASA up there.
I'll take some pictures. I'll post it on there. If we finally get a site where people can come and look at some of the images from the comics, I'll post it up there and you can have a look.
Yeah, also, I'd like a temperature check.
Yes, good shout.
Because it's only going to get colder.
It's only going to get colder, yeah. I can't do it. I can't do it downstairs because the missus is going to moan at me. What's all this talk about G.I. Joe rubbish? So I don't really want that.
All right, buddy. I'll see you next week.
Right, take care, everyone. See you later.